So my country is Bangladesh, located in South Asia, and is the 8th most populous country in the world, exceeding 170 million within an area of 57,000 square miles, as well as my official website link. I don't know if it's going to let me tap it. Oh yeah, it's not going to let me tap it on here. What is now Bangladesh at the time of 1947 was abolished by Britain's rule and formed into the state of Pakistan with the partition of India and Bengal. This turned British India into two dominant states. Division occurred based on Hindu or Muslim majorities and of the British Indian Army and Royal Indian Navy. West Bengal was a part of India, and East Bengal and what is now known as Bangladesh was a part of Pakistan, again divided based on the religious stance of the majority in that area. Bangladesh independence occurred in March 1971, which led to the 9-month Bangladesh Liberation War. Since then, it's faced political instability, economic reconstruction, and social transformation. These are some before and after photos. So like all three of the left ones are some before, and these are like the recent photos. This one can't be very sad. And these are just some of the flags that they use. So the first one being their common flag. The second one is being the flag Bangladesh used during the Liberation War. And the third one was being the flag used during Independence Day. The Bangladesh government can be seen as similar to ours, with having an executive branch, judicial branch, and legislative branch, as well as the Constitution. The Constitution of 1972 establishes the framework for governance, emphasizing nationalism, socialism, democracy, and secularism as fundamental principles. The executive branch is made up of the President, Prime Minister, and the Cabinet. The President serves as the head of the state, while the Prime Minister is the head of the government, and holds the actual executive authority. The legislative branch is the House of the Nation, which is a unicameral parliament. It has 350 members, with 300 being directly elected and 50 reserved for the one. The judicial branch in Bangladesh is a key branch of government, responsible for interpreting laws, resolving disputes, and upholding the Constitution. It consists of a Supreme Court, subordinate courts, and tribunals. The two biggest parties in Bangladesh are known as the Awami League and the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. I included on the slide some quick facts about them that won't be really going over much, but I thought they were kind of interesting to know. The rivalry between the two main political parties, the AL and the BNP, has caused complex gendered violence around election and democratic processes, including psychological, economic, sexual, and physical violence. The People's Republic of Bangladesh receives very little international news coverage. Its low international media profile hides an extremely violent and deadly conflict landscape with the historic rivalries between the two major political parties. Based on what I'm able to find, the two parties are a large cause of the majority of the violence in Bangladesh. You can easily conclude that there is a large range of conflicts between the two parties. The AL party played the leading role in achieving the independence of Bangladesh. It is one of the two dominant parties in the country, along with the traditional rival, the BNP. The party's activities were banned on May 10, 2025 under the Anti-Terrorism Act, which is a current issue we'll be discussing further in depth later in these slides. The World Health Organization stated in 2018, Bangladesh is facing a double burden of disease, with the majority of deaths being 67% due to non-communicable diseases, also known as NCDs, namely heart attacks, strokes, chronic respiratory diseases, cancers, and diabetes. Tobacco use, unhealthy diet, and physical inactivity are leading risk factors for NCDs in Bangladesh. In recent reports, Bangladesh has faced new strains of influenza among poultry workers, live bird markets, and Matic larvae. In 2023, CDC responded to Bangladesh's worst dengue season on record, and in May 2023, Bangladesh announced the elimination of lymphatic filariasis, a painful and disfiguring neglected tropical disease. The foundation of the educational system in Bangladesh was laid down during the period of British rule. The system has 3 levels: primary, secondary, and higher education. Primary and secondary education are both compulsory, though universal participation has remained more an ideal than a fact. Primary education consists of 8 years, while secondary education lasts 4 years. Secondary education is divided into a lower level and a higher level, and public examinations are held at the conclusion of each level of schooling. Schools in cities and towns are generally better staffed and better financed than those in rural areas. In the family structure, fathers are typically the family main source of income and primary decision makers. both the father and mother more likely to make decisions together in more urban environments. Fathers are accountable for paying for their children's education and arranging their marriages. Children, especially sons, are expected to take care of their parents as they age. Extended families typically live in the same household. When parents are working, grandparents or older siblings are often take care of the children. Bangladesh's political economy has been shaped by its struggle for sovereignty, rapid industrialization, and long-standing tension between democracy and centralized power. Since its independence in 1971, the country has transitioned from a primarily agrarian economy to one increasingly dominated by the industrial and service sectors, especially through its globally significant ready-made garment industry, which now accounts for over 80% of the country's exports. This shift has played a major role in lifting millions out of poverty over the past 2 decades. The economy has grown steadily, averaging around 6 to 7% annual GDP growth from 2000 to 2019, supported by large-scale infrastructure projects, rodents over overseas workers, and a growing domestic market. However, economic development has always been closely tied to political conditions. Periods of military rule followed by alternating civilian governments led by either the Awami League or the Bangladesh Nationalist Party have brought shifts in policy focus, often leading to patronage-based economic system and inconsistent governance. In recent years, international pressure for liberal reform, particularly after the 2013 Rana Plaza collapse, has prompted regulatory changes and great international scrutiny. Yet concerns remain about corruption, bureaucratic inefficiency, and political interference in economic affairs. The central role of political elites in economic decisions continues to be a defining feature of Bangladesh's political economy. Since its independence in 1971, Bangladesh has stressed its principle of friendship towards all, malice towards none, in dictating its diplomacy. Bangladesh maintains strong foreign relationships with countries like India, China, and the United States. It relies on trade partnerships, foreign aid, and development projects, especially in areas like infrastructure and climate resilience. Bangladesh is a member of the United Nations, SAARC, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Recently, the country has balanced its ties between India and China, with both countries investing heavily in Bangladesh. However, tensions sometimes rise over border issues and water sharing with India. Bangladesh has also worked closely with international groups to manage the Rohingya refugee crisis, hosting over 1 million refugees from Myanmar. Right now, Bangladesh is going through a lot of change. In 2024, huge student protests broke over unfair school quotas and government corruption. Those protests led to the fall of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who fled the country. A new temporary government took over, led by Nobel Peace Prize winner Muhammad Yunus. The government banned the AL, the country's biggest political party, for ties to violence, and this caused even more unrest, and hundreds of people have died in the street crashes. Many people in Bangladesh and around the world are calling for free and fair elections soon. On the social side, there are some serious problems. A major dengue fever outbreak in 2024 sent over 78,000 people to the hospital and killed hundreds. At the same time, people across the country, especially students, have been protesting violence against women and girls. One protest started after an 8-year-old girl was assaulted, showing how common and painful this issue is. Education is another struggle. Many kids in rural areas don't have internet or stable schools, and natural disasters like floods or cyclones often close schools for weeks.
8:30.
Thank you. Bangladesh is also still caring for over 1 million Rohingya refugees, but international aid has been cut, making it hard to support them. Economically, things are tough. Prices for food and fuel are high, and jobs are hard to find. Around 32 million young people are unemployed or not in school or training. Bangladesh has had to ask the IMF for a big loan and agreed to raise taxes and cut spending. Factories, especially the garment industry, are still a big part of the economy, but workers have been striking for better pay, and with the new trade rules from the US and other countries, it's getting harder for Bangladesh to export goods. Inflation is still high, growth is slowed, and people are struggling to keep up with costs.